Hello guys, Charles here and welcome back to my channel. Now we've covered loads of different approaches in previous videos of how to play with an outside sound. We discussed different triadic approaches from George Garzoni to Tim Miller. We discussed hybrid scales and we've discussed things like the Messiaen modes and other more exotic scales and how to use those sounds in a variety of different ways. But today I want to share with you the one that I'm working on quite a lot at the moment, which is something we've discussed quite a lot recently on this channel, and I want to show you two licks using exactly the same concept. The idea here, as with all of these outside sounds, is not that you pinch someone else's licks, whether it's my licks or anyone else's licks. You want to pinch the concept and you want to use that concept to create your own sounds and combine it with other approaches and see what unique material you can come up with. So I'm going to show you two 2-5-1 ideas today, and both of these are based on the diminished structure. And we've referred to that previously as the family of four, which is this Barry Harris idea of related dominant sevenths. I'm not going to go into the theory too much today, although I'll explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. If you want to deep dive into the theory of this, then please do check out the video up here, Spicy 2-5-1s, where I show you lots of pretty charts and diagrams and things which people gave me some nice comments about, and they found those quite helpful. So presumably, if you go and check that out, you'll find that quite useful as well. Get a deep dive into the theory, and then when you come back and watch this video again, you'll understand a bit better what's going on and why it works. So as part of my warm-up, I always have a few different things that I try and tick off. I'll probably discuss my warm-up routine at some point in the future, but one of those is I always try and explore some outside sounds. And because there's so many outside concepts, it can be quite difficult to practice them all, even in 1 week, let alone 1 month. So I tend to focus on one at a time until I feel really confident with it, and then I'll move on to the next. So currently, as I say, it's the family of four I'm focusing on. So I'm just working on this exploration between these diminished relations. Now for me, the best way to explore these things, whatever the concept is to try and build some very simple vocabulary. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing that you would necessarily plan to eventually use, but just a simple phrase that kind of trains your ear to hear these sounds and starts to see some of the ways that these shapes can connect on the neck. Now both of these examples are going to be 2-5-1 in the key of G. So that would be A minor 7, D7, G, and then we could stay on another bar of G, or we could go to like an E7 to get us back to the 2. A minor, D7, G, E7. Gives us a nice little loop. So I'm only going to be playing on the first 3 bars, and we're just trying to resolve to G. We're trying to explore the dominant sound here. Most outside sounds sound best in a dominant setting, so I'm just trying to land on some chord tone of G by bar 3. Now, as we discussed in the Spicy 2-5-1s video, in this instance A minor 7 to D7, but any 2-5, we can just think of it as 5. So in this instance, we've basically got 2 bars of 5, 2 bars of 1. So we're just interested in those 2 bars of 5. So I've got 2 bars to fill there, and the family of 4, as the name suggests, is 4 chords or 4 scales. So I'm going to give each one half a bar, or 2 beats. So for the first 2 beats, I'm going to just go up a D7 arpeggio, but I'm going to syncopate it slightly by playing it on the and of 1, and then give myself a little triplet. So it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Simple as that. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'm going to go for a classic bebop idiom here, which is to travel through an arpeggio in one direction and then travel through scales in the opposite direction. So up through an arpeggio, normally in a beat or 2, and then down through a longer scale, or down through an arpeggio and then up through a longer scale. So I've gone up through an arpeggio here, up through D7. So what's my family of 4 for D? Well, it's just what's the notes of a D diminished chord. D, F, A flat, and technically C flat at the top, but we'll call it B. So we've got D7 ideas, F7 ideas, A flat 7 ideas, and B7 ideas. Again, if you're not quite following that, you need to make sure you've watched the previous video. So if I just do these in the easiest order possible, that's going to be D, F, A flat, B, just going through in sequence. So I'm going to go up through this D7 arpeggio, And then I'm going to go down through F7 ideas, and it can be a chord or a scale. So I'm going to go up to the E flat, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and descend through 4 notes of the F7 scale or the F Mixolydian scale. E flat, D, C, B flat. So I've now finished bar 1, which was my A minor chord. 2, 3, 1. Okay, nice little idea there on my A minor. So 1 bar down, I've got another bar to play with, which is my D7 chord. So my D7 chord, I'm going to continue going through my sequence. So I've done D and I've done F. So I'm now going to do A flat 7 ideas. And remember, we're just going to continue descending through the scale. So I've done 4 notes of F7. I'm on B flat. I now need to go through 4 notes of A flat 7. So that's going to be A flat, G flat, F, and E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, I'm now on beat 3 of that second bar. The final family of 4, starting on D, D, F, A flat, and C flat, or B. So I'm currently on an E flat. That was my and of beat 2. So I'm about to go to beat 3 and I want some B7 ideas. So I'm going to continue descending through B Mixolydian. So if I'm on E flat or D sharp, the next note down would be C sharp. C sharp, B, A, because it's B7, G sharp. So that G sharp's the final quaver or the final 8th note of my second bar. I can resolve downwards to G from G sharp or A flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you get the idea there of how those might run together. So now let's quickly just do a second example. I won't need to explain it anywhere near as much for this one, but we're going to flip that. So rather than ascending through an arpeggio and descending through a series of scales, we're going to descend through an arpeggio and ascend through a scale. So we're going to do the notes in exactly the same order, so it's exactly the same concept. I'm just moving from D7 to F7 to A flat 7 to B7, but we can get a completely different lick. So for this one, because I know I'm going to be ascending through a scale, I need to start lower so I don't run out of space. So I'm going to descend through a D7 arpeggio. I'm going to syncopate it again just because I like to start the phrase with a little skip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so I'm now got to go to F7 ideas. Well, I'm on D. And for beat 3, I'm going to just slide up to an E flat. That's going to put me on the 7th note of the F Mixolydian scale. And then I ascend through what we might call a whole tone. But it's just the 4 notes of F Mixolydian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Nice. Got 1 bar left to fill 2 more chords. Well, I've just gone up my F7. A flat 7 is going to be next, so I've just played the note A, so the next note in the A flat 7 scale will be B flat. So descend D7, ascend through F7 for 4 notes, A flat 7. What's going to come after A flat 7? Well, it's going to be C flat 7 or B7. So I'm on D sharp currently, or E flat. I'm going to slide up to E. F sharp, G sharp, A. And then I need to resolve here. I can either go up to B or I can go down to G. I prefer going down to G because we've kind of just done an encirclement. F sharp, G sharp, A, G. Feels quite nice. It's the 1 note we skipped on that string. Quite nice to go back down to that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 1. So I hope you appreciate the concept here. I simply spend time exploring these sounds, not with any expectation that I'll ever play them live. I mean, if we're ever lucky enough to play live again. But I don't expect that these things will necessarily come out in my playing. I just expect that my ear will start to eventually hear them. Might take a few months, might take a few years. I'm in no rush, I've got nowhere to be. I'm just exploring these sounds as part of my warm-up routine and making sure that my ear is starting to be able to hear these and that my eye is starting to be able to see how to connect these shapes together on the neck. Now, as I suggested, do check out the Spicy 251 video. If you've already seen that one, then also look at the Space-Aged Arpeggios video, because they explore just 2 of these chords at a time, so D and F, or just D and A flat, or just D and B, for example. So look at how those connect together, and you'll really like those sounds. They're really quite, as the name suggests, space-agey, quite modern sounding, and they're a bit easier, I think, to just learn as a chunk and immediately throw into your playing, whereas what we're doing today is a bit more conceptual. So I hope that you found this idea useful and that you think you can start to create some of these yourself. Please leave me a comment down below letting me know what else you'd like to see covered on this channel. I love making these videos. I really like exploring these concepts in my own playing and then sharing these ideas with you guys and hoping that some of this is helpful. If you did find it helpful, please do give this video a like, subscribe and ding the notification bell, otherwise you might as well not be subscribed. And do share with any of your friends who you think have the knowledge to pull this stuff off as well and could benefit from it. And as always, I hope you're all doing very well, getting plenty of practice in, and I very much look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.
Roll up, let me embed a story you'll never forget. A drip, drip, we're drowning in debt now. You can't buy your way out.